You know, at Who Weekly, we're always diving into the latest rumors, like who's dating who, and who'll be on the next season of our favorite show. Well, here's one rumor we need to squash. The idea that Discover isn't widely accepted. Truth is, Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. That means it's accepted basically anywhere across the country. Don't pay attention to every rumor out there, but remember, it does pay to Discover. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
You will dream it.
Yo, they wanna know. Hey. Hey. I want to be famous.
Welcome to Who Weekly, the podcast where you'll learn everything you need to know about the celebrities you don't. I'm Bobby Finger.
I'm Lindsay Weber.
And this is what Nicole Scherzinger said upon seeing that Rudy Giuliani was unmasked as the Jack-in-the-Box on The Masked Singer last night.
Oh my goodness! Former Associate Attorney General, former Mayor of New York City.
Is that Robert Duvall?
No, that's not Robert Duvall.
Rudy Giuliani!
Did you hear what she said?
No.
Is that Robert Duvall?
No.
And Ken Jeong says, no, that is not Robert Duvall.
Is that Robert Duvall?
No, that's not Robert Duvall.
Rudy!
As we talked about months ago at this point, when this was filmed in February, it leaked very early that Ken Jeong was like, I'm out, I'm leaving, see y'all later, this sucks, this is disrespectful, even coming from Fox. And as we can see in the clip, Nicole and Jenny just stay on stage and dance with him.
I mean, it really is gross in like multiple ways. It's not even just like, obviously he is awful, but he also seems like he doesn't have full like mental capacity. Like,
The performance itself is uniquely miserable.
right. Well, doesn't he sing Bad to the Bone or whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
In a Jack-in-the-Box.
He speaks it. He speaks
Sure.
Bad
Well,
to the Bone in
singing
a
really is
Jack-in-the-Box.
just speaking. But yeah, I mean, it's on multiple levels gross. Like, it's on multiple levels. I get why it was like a thing. I mean, it clearly was more of a thing then than it is now, though, which is hilarious.
It's not even that Ken is the one with the most, I don't know, enviable code of ethics. I genuinely think that Jenny and Nicole don't really understand who or what Rudy Giuliani is.
Yeah, because people were like, oh, they're like dancing to it. It's like, I don't think that either of them were like, that's Rudy Giuliani.
It's not like they were saying, oh, this man is essentially this like political criminal and we're laughing at it. I think they don't really understand the extent of his crimes.
No, they don't even know who he is or
Yeah.
that he's
She
a
thinks
person.
it's Robert Duvall. She's like,
Right.
I loved Tender Mercies.
Well, I feel like if like Putin sang, you know, what if God was one of us, like as a
Jenny would be
giant
swaying.
robot. No, she wouldn't even. She would like be like, yeah, and then like wouldn't know it was Putin.
She'd be singing along with it.
God is great.
Yeah, God is good. Anyway, that video was really something else. It was one of those things where I was almost disappointed that it leaked early because I feel
Oh,
like
definitely.
I thought we wouldn't care as much when the episode actually happened, but there was still more to see with that Masked Singer clip.
It's shocking that there's still more to see on Masked Singer at all. Like that, first of all, that property is alive and well in multiple countries, but also that they managed to have newsworthy moments every season despite kind of being over the hill, even though it's only been
Yeah.
on for like, 4 seasons or something.
Yeah. I read our pal Dan in Variety this morning on his take, and it ends with, one hopes that Fox will learn from this, but one suspects too that the attention this incident brought to an aging franchise up to and including this article means they'll be happy with this result.
I love you, Dan, but if you don't think Fox is absolutely thrilled with themselves on this one, you are not cynical enough, I guess.
They're like, Nicole thought it was Robert Duvall. This is better than we ever could have imagined. Also, it's not like Ken quit, you know?
He came back and he was like, okay. I mean, I think they don't know who like maybe 65% of the people are when they're revealed, and they just play along like they do, and then it's revealed. Like I think a lot of it, I think what they say to them is pretend like you know who it is, and then we'll tell you eventually.
You are listening to Who's There, our weekly call-in show where we take your questions, comments, and concerns at 619-WHO-THEM. Let's start with comments as always. Here's one.
Hi, Lindsay, Bobby. I'm so glad I finally get to call in because I actually do have some knowledge on this. So, comédienne in French, it just means an actress, but mostly who does theater plays. Anyway, crunch, crunch.
It means actress. We got a lot of French people. We got some Canadians. We got French students, Plenty of people calling to say a comedian is just an actor.
You can really tell that we only have 7th grade French, both of us. 8th grade French. Did you take French in college? You did, didn't you?
Yeah, Lindsay, I think I've told that story multiple times on the podcast, and I can't do
This
that
is embarrassing for you.
I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of
Oh, right, but you weren't good. You weren't
Oh,
good.
I
You were
wasn't
asked, You were asked to leave. I only took it to 8th grade, so.
I was totally fine at a high school level, but at a college level, I was a big idiot. I was Nicole Scherzinger in a sea of Ken Jeongs, so that's what I was in college.
So you skipped the semester where they discussed the distinction between comedienne and actress.
I don't even know that I skipped it. I think I just was a big idiot in that class, and I loved every second of it.
That's so nice, though. You should have been able to keep going, even if you sucked.
Yeah, I know. It would have really brought down my GPA. But at the time, I thought GPAs mattered. They kind of don't matter at all.
I know.
I don't even know what my college GPA was.
I don't want to know what it was. So comedienne is a serious stage actress. A comedian is a humoriste. A TV or movie actress would be actrice.
Okay, that's great.
Just so you know. Thank you to Hugo for emailing that to us.
Thanks, Hugo.
Hi, Who Weekly. I feel like you missed a pretty important detail of this Heidi Montag. Is that her name? Oh my God. Is that her name? Okay, sorry. Of this story with the single-use jeans, is that Oceana is actually Adrian Grenier's nonprofit. I know that because they did like a sponsored room at 29 Rooms when I used to work at Refinery 29. Anyways, but I feel like that actually gives like a little less credibility to her doing this thing, because I feel like she did it not because she's like loves the ocean so much, but probably because she's like trying to rub elbows with Adrian Grenier, because she's like a forever Hollywood social climber. That's my POV on the situation. Okay, crunch crunch. Happy birthday, Criterion Channel.
I still think she did it for the money.
She 100% did it just for the money.
But you're right. Adrian Grenier is a celebrity ambassador for Oceana, but so are a lot of other celebrities.
Yeah, he's not the owner. He has his own the nonprofit that got rid of all the straws at Starbucks, which is
Lonely
called
Whale.
Lonely Whale. So if you want to
Lonely
complain
Whale.
about that, talk to Lonely Whale. But he is a ambassador for Oceana, among other incredible who's like Nina Dobrev, Catherine McPhee, Josh Jackson, Kobe Smulders, Austin Nichols, Kate Walsh,
Miranda
Cosgrove, Elsa Pataki, Josh Lucas.
Don't forget Chris Pratt. Oh, well, these are thems. Because there are a lot of thems. Like Morgan Freeman is there as well.
I was trying to just read the Who's, but then I
The
said Josh
Who's.
Jackson. I was like, interesting. But then I was also like Amber Valletta. And speaking of happy birthday, Criterion Channel, Barbra Streisand.
Happy birthday, Criterion Channel.
So, Lindsay, have you been on the Oceana? I know we copied and pasted some of the celebrity lists, some of the celebrity names, but have you been to the actual website? Because something nice about the Oceana website, oceana.org, is that they give every founder, every staff member, every board of director, many of them photos, and a lot of the photos, especially of the celebrity supporters, are them wearing Oceana garb, like
Yes.
Oceana merch. Some of them are
Yes.
just headshots, like Catherine McPhee just gave a headshot. Barbra Streisand provided a photo of a tightly cropped photo of her hugging Sting. So Sting is sort of like 3/4 of his face is in the photo of Barbra Streisand.
Oh my God, you're
January
so
Jones.
right.
January Jones provided
That's
a
good.
photo. I guess like it's sort of like when Gaga puts on her glasses and becomes business Gaga. January Jones clearly has a like charity January that she sends to all of her charitable organizations when she needs to provide a photo, because it's her in like some sort of coat in front of the U.S. Capitol.
Did you notice that sometimes you click them and they have these bios that connect with why they love the ocean and like what they've done? But then if you click Barbara's, no, there's nothing. It's just if you know Barbra Streisand, you know. If you don't, fuck you. Huge. It's just empty. It's just blank. It's just her and Sting's out of Sting's face.
The board of directors photo, though, is my favorite, because if you click on board of directors, the tab on the left under leadership, you have a lot of people whom I've never heard of. They seem to be
Sure.
just like rich people or
Sure.
who
That's
knows?
fine.
People in the charity space. I'm not sure.
I know what you're about to say.
And a lot of these photos are people posed in front of the ocean. Not all of them, but most. The photo of Sam Waterston, however, the chair of the board of directors of Oceana and arguably the most famous person on this list, is just his Law and Order character still.
I was going to say.
He is in an office surrounded by legal books, and the photo was taken in 1993.
Okay, but scroll down to the iconic Ted Danson, and he's in front of a whaler. Like he's
in front of a whaler, yeah.
He's on brand. He loves the ocean. And I would say to Adrian Grenier, if you want to be freaking, you're just a celebrity ambassador, but I would say join the board. Then you can get my love and respect.
Exactly. Next call.
Hi, Lindsay Bobby. To pause the pod because you were talking about Gerard Butler at Coachella. Oh, sorry, that's my son in the background, your youngest hooligan, 3-month-old hooligan. Anyway, Gerard Butler, Coachella, this year, he was famously there a long time ago. I looked it up, 2012, because he had sex with a random woman in the porta potties. Can't believe you forgot about that. Crunch, crunch.
They just went into the porta potty together. We don't know what happened inside that porta potty. That's all the source says. They went to the porta potties and then went to the batch, powered by Brent Bolthouse.
Not Brent Bolthouse, from like Laguna Beach in the hills. Oh my God. Fucking somebody in a porta potty is one issue. Fucking somebody in a porta potty at a music festival, that's like a high trafficked porta potty, is like actually a health issue.
Could have been one of those fancy porta potties that sanitizes itself after every use. You know, maybe Gerard Butler has standards and only fucks in automated porta potties that self-sanitize.
But it's still just like a hole in the ground. Anyways, congrats to him.
Next call. Also, not the last Gerard Butler call you'll hear this week. Although maybe it will be if I cut the next segment. I don't know. Who knows? Speaking of getting sexy at Coachella. Ooh, is that a Timmy segue? Good call.
Timmy's been doing segues. I don't know if you noticed. Which I literally ask you explicitly not to do. Timmy's like, I'm taking the segues over.
I'm taking the segues. Okay, next call. Speaking of getting sexy at Coachella.
Hey, Lindsay Bobby. I know you've already talked about Coachella, but I wanted to read this statement by model Sarah Talabi. She's Nigerian, and she said, "Everyone is asking me if I was kissing Timothée Chalamet at Coachella, and that is a good question. But a great question would be asking our world leaders why the Earth is now losing 1.2 trillion tons of ice each year due to global warming and why climate crisis reform has been completely ineffective." Sarah Talabi, icon, Crunch Crunch, Lindsay podcaster.
Hi, Bobby Lindsay. Who is Sarah Talabi, and is she the new Greta Thunberg? Crunch Crunch, Lindsay podcaster.
Wow, a legend emerges from the depths of Coachella. Somebody worthwhile, somebody of value.
The anti-Gerard Butler, you might say.
A model named Sarah, who may or may not have kissed Timothée Chalamet at Coachella, and then when asked to give a comment said, call your local senator if you want that answer. If you want me to tell you if I kissed Timothée Chalamet at Coachella, call your local representative.
Don't look where my lips have been. Take a look at your fucking carbon footprint. Why don't you, okay?
Yeah, fill up your gas-guzzling SUV and ask me again, bitch.
We're paraphrasing, of course. Thank you, caller, for
Not
reading
far
Sarah
from, though.
Talabi. Thank you, caller, for reading Sarah Talabi's statement in full. I'm not going to pretend like I knew who this person was until
knew who this was?
yesterday. She has over 1 million followers on Instagram, which I guess doesn't say much, but it says something. She is a model, but she's also, as she calls herself, a microphone for marginalized voices. She's an influencer, but she's also an activist. She's a Victoria's Secret model, but she's also an author.
She also said to Page Six, I was dancing at Coachella this weekend as well as the Revolve Festival and a few other private parties. That was me in the photos. My twin sister, Leah Talabi, was there too, she tells Page Six, an exclusive statement. We're all just hanging out and vibing to the music. It was the greatest night of my life. I think that really says everything you need to know as well. She's calling this night the greatest night of her life.
I know. Well, she can be distracted from all the horrors of climate change, you know? She's constantly thinking about, you know, where we are in terms of the climate crisis. And when she's at Coachella, she can just vibe. She can just make out with Timothée Chalamet, with her twin sister, who I think this was page 6 pointed out that they were born on the same day. And I was like, you don't need to tell us that.
They define twins.
Yes.
But another spy told Demois that Chalamet was also seen with models Chantal Jeffries and Cindy Wolf, to which the owner of Demois wrote, I don't know who Sarah Talabi is, but you guys are telling me she isn't in that pic. Bottom line, Timmy hung out with a lot of different women this weekend. Just let the kid live. Okay, Demois
gets sassy.
Demois is like, I don't know this woman, which to be fair, we literally just said we also don't know this woman. So we agree with Demois there. But I do love that she summed it up with like, leave Timmy alone. He's hanging out with lots of women, you know?
And he was.
And yet you're posting it.
So after this statement that she gave went viral, the one the caller read, which I guess we can just read it again in case you couldn't hear it.
Everyone is asking me if I was kissing Timothée Chalamet at Coachella, and that is a good question. But a great question would be asking our world leaders why Earth is now losing 1.2 trillion tons of ice each year due to global warming and why climate crisis reform has been completely ineffective. I encourage you to contact your local representative and ask them that. I forgot that she actually said contact your local representative.
Oh, yeah, she did. So after this happened, she posted on her Instagram stories a screenshot from the Washington Post, Democracy Dies in Darkness. Earth is now losing 1.2 trillion tons of ice each year, and it's going to get worse. And she linked out. Not
to bring up Demois again, but the submission Timothée Chalamet was dancing with and kissing Victoria's Secret model Sarah Talabi. Right under that, it says, hey, babe, spotted Daniel Radcliffe in Merriweather getting coffee. Super low-key and lovely, carrying a giant empty FedEx box. So excited to DM you that. I'm doing it off a friend's phone because I left mine in an Uber. Anon, please. Okay, I'm sorry. This bitch left her phone in an Uber, and before she like goes to retrieve it, she's like, I gotta tell you that Daniel Radcliffe was carrying an empty FedEx box in Merriweather. I don't even know what Merriweather it is, but I'm so glad that I know. I'm
like fascinated by the fact that celebrities choose to like cuddle up with page 6. As much as I love page 6, like you'd never catch me out here like giving them an exclusive story. I guess you do it because you know you're going to get coverage. You just have to hope that they're not going to turn on you in the future, because if page 6 turns on you, they will not fucking stop. So a couple of days after this went viral, or maybe one day, there was this headline on page 6 exclusive: Sarah Talabi getting death threats amid Timothée Chalamet romance rumors. And it begins with this editorializing from page 6. We're told angry fans have been bombarding the 22-year-old model with frightening direct messages.
Yeah, you don't need to read these. They're awful.
It quotes all these horrifying threats that she received on Instagram, and it says, quote, one person wrote in a DM to Talabi that was obtained by page 6, and then it says, Talabi told us that she worries for those leaving hateful comments because, quote, they are battling their own demons. The story starts with them being like, we just obtained these DMs. We don't know where from. And then 2 paragraphs later, it's like, we were in direct contact with Talabi, and she says she's worried for these people and hopes that they're okay.
Yeah.
And as Timmy pointed out, she has beauty and brains. She co-wrote a book called The Intersectional Feminist with her sister, Leah.
Her twin. How to amplify the marginalized voices in the feminist movement. You can buy it on Amazon or anywhere else.
Or anywhere, $9.99.
Who did this? Very fun because her IG is 4 things: outfit of the days, twin content, spawn, and intersectional feminism.
That's a Timmy original. Those are the 4 topics on Sarah Talabi's Instagram.
Outfit of the day, twin content, sponsored content. These all can overlap, or intersectional feminism.
It's best if they overlap.
To be fair, most models don't even have half of these categories. It's nice that she gave this like sassy reply that's kind of funny but also serious, but then she has the like pedigree and the history of having done this work to back it up. Like she's not just like out here being a bitch. She's out here saying something that actually does represent like her work. Like she's a model, but she also really cares.
It's an established vibe. If this had been an influencer who doesn't have a history of saying this sort of stuff, this would have been like less embraced, I think, by the tabloids, because when you go to her Instagram, it's like, oh no, this has been her stance. This has been her position.
Sorry, Bobby, but I think it would have been equally embraced by tabloids because it's funny, but I think it would have been less interesting because it would just be more of a joke versus something that she truly earnestly means. She earnestly means, please call your representatives. Please focus on these important things. But you know what? Timmy wasn't even necessarily kissing her. He was kissing like every model that weekend. He also was spotted smooching somebody who people say is Wolfie Cindy, who I'd never heard of, but is also a model.
Wolfie Cindy shot to fame as an Instagram influencer who now has 6.9 million followers, is a, I guess, vaguely successful model, verified on Instagram, as I said, 6.9 million followers. This could all have been some weird backdoor thing. We don't know how he found this photo. But the reason she got attention was many years ago, Justin Bieber posted a photo of this random Tumblr girl. She's 17
this was in
the photo.
2015.
She's 17, and he posts the photo of her looking. I mean, it looks like peak Tumblr era selfie. And the caption is just, OMG, who is this? He never deleted this. This is still up. Because he brought attention to this person, people were like, oh, that's Cindy Kimberly. She's 17 years old. She's on Instagram. And she instantly just becomes an Instagram influencer and has since like only grown in fame. Because Justin Bieber said, OMG, who is this?
Her username suggests she's a fan of Teen Wolf. I don't think that that's what this is. A 2011 series based on the 1985 Michael J. Fox film. She says, so I do not know how to deal with this, pointed out, and there were other social media users pretending to be here. Basically, like, he really set her up to be something, but I guess he also made her a model, kind of.
Yeah.
I do love there's like a funny paparazzi video that's 3 seconds long that involves her just getting in a car where the paparazzi says, people on TikTok say you don't look like your Instagram. And she's like, I broke out. And then she gets in the car. You know, like, what is she supposed to say with that? And then I was like, oh, she has a YouTube. She's vlogged 3 times. 3 vlogs.
Speaking of Coachella, or let's use Timmy's segue, speaking of models in the desert.
We will not be using Timmy's segues. Not that I don't think they're good, but segues are really hard for this podcast, as I love to repeat, because sometimes we cut things.
Cut a lot.
Then if you have a segue that goes, speaking of models in the desert, here's something completely different.
It's like, speaking of Sienna Miller, and then there's just a question about Gerard Butler. It's
yeah,
like, well, whoops. Next call. Potentially, speaking of models in the desert.
No!
Hey, Lindsay and Bobby. What is Revolve Fest on TikTok? I keep seeing things that are like Revolve Fire Fest. It sounds like Revolve, like the clothing website, like did something scammy. Good form.
So we didn't really dig into this on our last episode because like it was unclear, but I thought Revolve Fest was kind of part of Coachella, like it was a gifting suite within.
Me too.
It wasn't. It was a completely different event. It was a completely different festival that basically you could have been invited to Revolve and not go to Coachella. Like that's kind of why this is so scandalous, because a lot of people came just for this festival and didn't actually buy tickets and go to Coachella. And then what ended up happening was they reached capacity very fast, and the buses that were busing people out from a random parking lot to like an undisclosed location to obviously prevent the crowding at the spot, those buses got fewer and fewer because there were so many people there that people were waiting in line for like 3 to 4 hours, despite everybody getting the same like influencery type welcome invitation email. So I think what happened was everybody thought they were an influencer. And nobody was an influencer except for like Kendall Jenner.
And the thing is, as you pointed out later on in this research, there were plenty of people at Revolve, and they were a lot more famous than the people who were waiting to get a bus.
But I think what the funny thing kind of is that the people who were waiting thought that they were influencer enough to go because they didn't realize that Revolve had gotten all these big names. Like they kind of thought this is like the not Coachella. Like there'll be less of a hectic vibe here. Revolve is just a clothing company. They're not fast fashion-y because their clothing's a little bit more expensive, but they kind of are fast fashion-y.
Yeah. They're fast fashion-y in the sense that they try to be on top of the trends, or in fact, like create trends. Like it's still trendy clothing. It's just not ASOS.
It's just weird because like you go on there and there's like expensive dresses and you're like, okay, what's the deal here? Are these like crappy dresses? But anyways, Revolve Festival is like they have music and you wear their clothing, I guess. There was like a gifting suite where you could like take the clothing.
And they've been doing this since at least 2017. So this has been a part of the Coachella vibe for, 4 or 5 years. I guess Coachella didn't necessarily happen last year, but this has been an established event and it is separate.
I do love that this definitely happened before, but this was the first year that people were loud enough and had good TikToks about it that they had to be like, sorry. I think that this is the first year that it got actually publicized that it was shitty because people were like, this is like Fyre Fest, which... It's kind of not, but that's fine. We'll let you make that comparison. Either way, they had to apologize. They said, with an event of this magnitude, city regulations mandate an off-site location for guest check-in and parking, as well as licensed shuttle transportation to and from the venue, blah, blah, blah. The off-site lot was set up with guest parking as well as a rideshare drop-off and blah, blah. We don't need to know that. As the festival was reaching capacity late Saturday afternoon, shuttle access to the venue was limited in order to remain in compliance with safety regulations, causing longer wait times for entry and resulting in some guests not being able to attend the festival.
And some of the guests may have actually paid like $2,000 to get in.
Wait, really? I thought it was free.
Did you see this? Someone, an influencer, posted the email that they had received from Revolve Loyalty Program that invited them to the event. And it says, it's not too late for you to join us in the desert. We're inviting you to this year's Revolve Festival. Taking place in La Quinta, California from April 16th to April 17th. We're bringing back one of Revolve's biggest events. By purchasing a $2,000 Revolve Festival gift card, will include a Revolve Festival wristband for you to join in on the fun. So it's like, go to our website, spend money on the clothes, and then buy a $2,000 gift card and we'll give you a wristband.
It cost money sometimes. It didn't cost money other times. Like, it was a confusing scenario. So for that, if that person paid $2,000 and didn't get in, that sucks.
Well, the person who posted this didn't spend the money. The person who posted this posted it on Twitter. They're Playboy Chichi on Twitter. Okay. And they said, y'all know Revolve Festival has to be a joke because I also got an invite to attend for the bargain price of $2,000.
Insane.
Crying face, crying face, crying face. They literally just invited every recurring customer. It's tragic to me that like the controversy that came from this was because people were stranded waiting for buses. But the only reason they were waiting for buses is because Revolve was trying not to make another Fyre Fest. You know, like they were trying to be conscious of fire code and safety protocols and all these things, but it ended up blowing up in their face anyway.
It was more of a TanaCon than a Fyre Fest. Let's be real.
It wasn't Fyre Fest. It wasn't Fyre Fest because also this is a group that had done this before. But also I was looking at photos of the earliest Revolves and it looks like, I can't really tell because I think people who don't go to Coachella kind of have a hard time picturing the geography of Coachella. I know I do. Like, I don't really understand where anything is. Is it Palm Springs? Is it Palm Desert? Is there a difference between these things? Like, is it in Indio? Where is Indio? And so it's like, it's hard to tell where things are, but I found these photos of Revolve 2017, and they all refer to it as being like the Revolve house at Coachella in Palm Springs. And it's like, okay, so maybe Revolve started as one of those hype houses or those branded houses like we talked about on Tuesday and got bigger.
It definitely started as like a booth within Coachella or whatever. Yeah.
So that's how it seems like this has evolved. It's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger every year, and now it's almost too big.
It almost seems like planning a festival is a really hard job, and you have to be really good at it to make it successful. And wow, Coachella, and wow, other festivals. Wow, I can't think of any other ones. Bonnaroo, wow.
Bonnaroo, Lollapalooza, Austin City Limits.
These are incredible feats that people don't get hurt, and you're able to get in and have a good time. And there's enough bathrooms and there's enough everything. Sorry, this is all like me watching the Woodstock 99 documentary. Anyways, Revolve is good at selling clothes, bad at throwing a festival. Try again next year. Best of luck.
Moving on. No segue. I love this call.
Hi, Weekly. Apparently something happened with Joji at Coachella, but I'm just like, who's Joji? Crunch, crunch.
Classic call.
Classic. Something happened with Joji at Coachella, but I'm like, who's Joji?
Who is Joji? It's very rare that like I'll do research on someone and be like, well, I've never heard of them. I feel old. Like I never really feel old doing this. That doesn't really hit me. But this made me feel, if not old, then like weirdly oblivious because I went to his YouTube and his Spotify and just saw like the amount of fans that he has.
But I can tell you why it made you feel, because I know why it made me feel elderly.
Why?
Joji is this artist. He does music. He used to be a very popular YouTuber named Filthy Frank. Mm-hmm. And as that YouTuber, he was like, his whole thing was like being disgusting. And one of the things that he did was he invented the Harlem Shake.
No, he didn't. How did I not realize that? He invented the Harlem Shake?
Yes. Like in our timeline as old people, that's where we let off. That's where we got off the bus. We're like, okay, see you later. This guy did the Harlem Shake. We're getting off the bus. It is our stop.
He's the pink guy. No, he's not. Oh my God. When Timmy was saying he's the pink guy, I was like, why does this look familiar?
I'm
oh
telling
my
you.
God.
The other funny thing about this is, again, not throwing Timmy under this bus that we just got off of because we're old. But Timmy didn't even, the Harlem Shake, I don't think means a lot to Timmy. He didn't even pull that out as amazing. And then I'm looking through this and I'm like, he's the Harlem Shake guy. That's so funny. So this guy did this actually iconically successful pivot from being known as a disgusting YouTuber to being a respected musician who's performing at Coachella as himself, not a pink guy.
When I listened to his music, I was like, well, what's this going to be? And it's totally good.
It's
like
good.
It's very lo-fi. It's very vibey. And he has a nice voice.
It reminds me of Khalid.
Yes. It reminds me of Khalid meets one of those like lo-fi YouTube channels that people have on all the time. What are some other Timmy notes? He has a very big Asian audience due to being in 88 Rising.
It's a management company / record label. They also represent Rich Brian. I don't know if you remember Rich Brian. He did not go by Rich Brian until relatively recently. He went by a different name that I will not say. But he was a kind of comedian rapper, which is what Joji was originally as the pink guy. He released a comedy album. So I think this management group / record company was just a bunch of guys who were like doing funny comedy music that kind of like got together, and then Joji like turned into like a different artist. But it really is interesting because it's like they have a huge fandom as just a management company, kind of like they do in K-pop, where like you have a record label or management company that has a fandom itself, almost like A24. Like
I was going to say it's like the A24 of music. Where
you're
people
like, if I
like
stan
this company.
A24 or I stan let's say you're like, I stand Cadence 13 podcasts. You're like, or if I stand, whatever, like a brand of, Gimlet or like whatever, then you love all the things under the brand. This is kind of like that.
What is the really iconic K-pop one? YG.
Yeah.
I just love YG artists. They have.
Is it YG?
Blackpink. Yeah, they have like iKON and Blackpink, and they used to have 2NE1. It's just like big labels that have their own fandoms because they are so distinct.
Well, you're right. K-pop is really good at creating a label that has a fandom versus even just a band that has a fandom. Therefore, when they launch a new band, it's like as exciting as if one of the bands you already know puts out an album, because you're like, I trust the label to like make good talent. I mean, what's funny is we've already like said who he is, and it's more interesting than what happened. What happened was he like had a health issue and had to leave the stage. And then I guess he had written that like Coachella made him go back out on stage to finish his performance, and then people were really mad because obviously that's like not very nice. But he posted, "See you at Coachella week 2." So clearly whatever happened, like he's performing next weekend or this weekend or whatever.
Yeah. I think the fact that he left the stage and Coachella is live streamed, and God bless like all of the software, the AI, and the manpower that goes behind taking down recordings of Coachella live streams, because you think that it's easy to find like footage that has been on television or streaming on the internet. That may be true for a lot of things, but it's not true of Coachella videos, because that shit gets taken down instantly. Did you see that tragic Doja Cat thread where it was like, Doja performed during Coachella, here are the best moments, and it's just a bunch of copyright removals. It's just like a bunch of emptiness.
To be fair, they do a good job. They spend a lot of money with those live streams, so it's like I'm not surprised that they're litigious, because that is not cheap. And to be fair, like they work really well. The Coachella live streams work well. You could just watch the entire thing from your couch. Like, it's kind of iconic in that way.
It's not one of those live stream things where it's like, oh, I'll catch it later, because you can't. You in most instances, you can't. You have to watch it live, or else you don't really get the shot. So Joji's performance was just weird because he left in the middle of it, and then they like shut it off. I didn't watch it live, and again, it's hard to verify and fact check these things because the recordings of the live streams don't really exist. But people were upset with the fact that like his live stream was interrupted and then they move on to another artist. But it seems like, based on this Instagram where he says, "See you Coachella week 2" that you read, that all is going to be rectified next week. It was one of those things that seemed more dramatic than it was.
More importantly, you mentioned CL. CL performed and reunited To Anyone, which is like so big, that Coachella, which I like don't even think got enough attention.
Yeah.
And next week, my favorite girlies from the Thanksgiving Day Parade, aespa, are performing. Remember them?
Okay, which float were they on? Do you remember?
No, I fucking
It was something
don't.
funny.
Wait.
aespa. It was the women in STEM. It was the women in
the
STEM
women
float.
in
Yes.
STEM
It was the
float.
women in STEM float. Yes. Her future is STEM-sational.
Her future
Sponsored
is
by
STEM-sational,
Olay.
Sponsored by Olay.
What did they sing? Like
Savage.
They sang Savage. Yeah.
I love this. I feel like they're performing at Coachella is a huge improvement. Like they made it to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Timmy segue we may or may not use. Speaking of Asian excellence.
Hi, Lindsay Bobby. Medium time. I am one of the, very thrilled people who just saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. This movie is so good. I just cannot recommend it enough. And I thought like the best performance in it was Stephanie Hsu, who plays the main character's daughter. And the only other thing I recognized her from was the last season of Mrs. Maisel, or the, next to last season. She's incredible, and I want to know more about her. What's her deal? She seems great. So can you tell me about Stephanie Hsu? Thanks. Crunch, crunch.
Is this one of those scenarios where the person is genuinely like kind of new? Like it is more of a like, this is an early role, right?
This is an early role, especially on film. We almost did this last week, and I was like, what are we going to say about this person? It's new. And Timmy was like, it'll make sense once you see the movie. And I saw the movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I was like, okay, now I get what people are calling in on it. Because this is a movie starring Michelle Yeoh in a performance that people are like, give her the Oscar. I guess including myself was screaming that. But like, in a movie that is led by this huge movie star, she carries her own in a way that is very impressive and scene steely, where you're like, okay, who is this person who's like going toe to toe, head to head with Michelle Yeoh? And it's Stephanie Hsu. Cool. Again, she's in Everything Everywhere All at Once, the new movie by the directors, the Daniels, who we'll get to in a second because this is part of the same segment. And she did kind of come out of nowhere. Not just because she came from Broadway, which, no offense, it's not nowhere, but even on Broadway, she came out of nowhere. I'm quoting, I think this is Hollywood Reporter, no, Harper's Bazaar. She was cast at an early table read of SpongeBob SquarePants, the Broadway musical.
That's so funny.
Coming from kind of nowhere. And then that show was kind of a cult hit. It didn't run for that long, right, Lindsay? Like, it didn't run for that long, but everyone was obsessed with it.
People loved it, yeah.
When it was announced, the reaction was, what the hell is this? But the true heads who knew about like the off-Broadway stuff and knew that it was cool were like, no, trust me, this is going to be awesome. And it apparently was awesome. I never saw it, regrettably. Then she was in Be More Chill, which had a similar vibe, which was a Broadway show that like was very, if you know, you got to see this play, this musical, Be More Chill. Then she was on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Do you still watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Did you watch her season?
Please don't ask me that question. Please don't ask me a question you know the answer to. I know who she is.
Did you watch the season she was on it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was she good in those seasons?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. But not, breakout, I would say, if I had to. It wasn't a role that caused it. There's no role on that show that's going to cause anyone to do anything at all.
The reason she got this role in Everything Everywhere All at Once is because the Daniels, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, who are the co-directors who we'll talk about in a second, directed an episode of Awkwafina is Nora from Queens, and she was in it, and they were like, we like this person.
My favorite name of a TV show, Awkwafina is Nora from Queens.
Awkwafina is Nora from Queens.
Truly one of the funniest names of a TV show that's ever existed, because it tells you, it begs you to know what it's talking about.
And in many instances, people still have no idea what it's talking about, despite their best efforts.
Awkwafina is Nora from Queens. It's like, okay, we get it. It's very Zendaya. It's Michi.
You walk by the subway ad and you're like, what's this show about? And Lindsay's screaming at you, Awkwafina is Nora
from Queens.
What are you not getting?
And Mad About You is back for a reunion season on Comcast. Sorry, that poster is still there.
And Morena Baccarin and Ryan Michelle Bathe are the leads of The Endgame on NBC.
Subway ads really work on us. I think that's like what the essential thesis of this is, that we are very affected by Subway ads.
What Subway ad worked on me so fucking hard recently? I was walking into the Subway and I was in the middle of a conversation.
Did
I
you
was like,
stopped it in your tracks?
I stopped the conversation and I took a photo of the Subway. Actually, I
What
meant to
was
send it
it?
to you and I completely forgot because the train
What?
came and then I couldn't send it.
Okay.
The Jeff Letham Botanical Gardens show,
Oh,
not at the Brooklyn one, at the Bronx
I keep
one.
seeing it. It's an orchid show.
It's an orchid show, but it's done by Jeff Letham.
Yeah.
Florist to the Stars.
Yeah.
He's trying to legitimize himself as some kind of artist as opposed to like
Wow,
purveyor
okay.
of the gaudiest gifts imaginable, you know?
It's true.
And I was like, I gotta see this.
I gotta see this show. I gotta see the
see
Jeff
it.
Letham orchid show in the Bronx.
There's no better advertising than Subway ads. You are
true.
You are right about that.
It's true. So the Daniels met this woman on the set when she was on Aquafina is Nora from Queens, and they said, "We love you."
And they're apparently, I mean, I'm this is again, I think all from the Harper's. There are two profiles that like I got most of the information from, Harper's and Thrillist. They had cast, I guess, Michelle, and they were like, well, who's going to play the daughter? Like, that's going to be really tough. It's easy to write a role for Michelle, but how are we going to cast this woman who's as important? And in walks Stephanie Hsu, and they're like, oh, you're fucking perfect. So they cast her. Now she's in this movie. It's a big deal. We'll see what happens. It's hard to know, like, what her aspirations were.
I'm sorry, but I can't imagine a theater actress wouldn't want to do TV and film.
So that's Stephanie Hsu.
The Daniels are the ones who directed this movie. They are probably best known for, which is hilarious, I mean, Swiss Army Man, which was like kind of a small movie that made a big splash, quote unquote, because it was so stupid. It was a Daniel Radcliffe as a farting corpse.
I love Paul Dano in Swiss Army Man.
Do you?
No, that was the call. Remember, people were talking about their favorite
Yes,
Paul Danos.
Sorry, right, yes.
I love Paul Dano in Swiss Army Man. Their most iconic thing to me, having not seen Swiss Army Man, because I just look at the poster and trailer for that and think, not for me, prove me wrong.
Not
but
to be whatever, but it's a play. A two-hander about like a man on an island who like befriends a corpse. Like, that's a play, baby. Like,
are you about to tell me like it's about trauma?
no, I'm not going to say anything about what it's about, but like it just reminds me of that. They're most famous for, to us, the Turn Down for What video, which was hugely impactful.
A hugely impactful video. And honestly, when I watched it again last night after seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once, I was like, oh, they're so true to their aesthetic. So I guess that I haven't seen Swiss Army Man, but it's like, it's interesting to me that Everything Everywhere All at Once seems like such a logical progression for these people because their style is so distinctive and vulgar and funny.
Well, listen, they met at Emerson College in Boston after studying 3D animation. So think about it. Like, they were studying 3D animation and they met and they made a short movie eventually. It totally makes sense that their entire part of their aesthetic are these camera tricks and these kind of like incredibly beautiful aesthetic, like cut shots and zooms and like whatever they're doing with the camera that are just inventing like essentially new forms of filmmaking. Turn Down for What is silly, but it does do that.
To create a video that is as unique and hypnotic and energizing as that song, which is essentially just a repeating beat and one lyric over and over and over again.
Turn Down for What is the Harlem Shake song, right?
No.
What's the Harlem Shake song? I hate this. I hate this. It's like traumatizing. There's a scene in one of the worst best shows on TV called We Crashed where Jared Leto as the owner of WeWork is like giving a presentation and he hears the Harlem Shake music and he's like, 1 second, and then goes out and does the Harlem Shake. And it's supposed to be like, what? He's crazy.
I love that we each have our own private Apple TV Plus moments. Like, you're very stuck in We Crash, and I'm very stuck in Slow Horses, and the Venn diagrams will never overlap.
I mean, I might watch Slow Horses. You're just never going to watch We Crash.
I'll watch We Crash. Everyone keeps saying how good Annie is, and I gotta support Annie.
She's so
you know?
good. The voice that she's doing in We Crashed is like none other. It's like you think that like Amanda Seyfried as Elizabeth Holmes is doing a voice that is iconic. You haven't heard Annie Hathaway as whoever that woman is, Rebecca Cohen or whatever her name is, in freaking We Crashed. Turn Down for What? I didn't know this, but one of the Daniels is the star of Turn Down for What, which is I think is really cool because they were trying to cast the role.
Oh, that's one of the Daniels with the
and he
powerful
was like,
dick.
You are the best dancer we know. We can't get anyone better than you. And the other person in the video is Sunita Mani from Glow.
She's great.
Yeah.
This was kind of a breakout for her.
It was 100% a breakout for her.
This video and this aesthetic, there's something extremely juvenile about it and very easy to like groan and roll your eyes at. But like, even though I already liked that video, I appreciated it more after seeing the movie because I was like, hey, I gotta respect like an aesthetic that is very uniquely yours and that you are very, very good at.
But it's like they took a song that was like silly and populous and made a video that had this like almost like underground subtle thread of like ingenuity. So it's like kind of cool to see that like, and at the time people thought it was genius. So I don't even think that at the time people were like writing it off. It's not one of those things that's like a camp classic where it's only appreciated now. At the time people were like, this is amazing. How did you do this?
The video has over 1 billion views on YouTube.
It's insane.
They directed a Foster the People video that
A lot of videos.
They've directed a lot, but this one stood out for me because this is the one with Gabourey Sidibe is in it. So that was like, oh, the Gabourey Sidibe video, yeah, because this song is forgettable,
Right.
but the video is memorable.
But it's also like not crazy to go from music videos to directing film because that's what so many directors have done. That's not even though music videos aren't even that impactful anymore. So many directors get their starts directing music videos and then go on to direct film. Fincher being the most famous, but you know.
Sorry, Lindsay,
Right.
you're not. Music videos aren't impactful anymore. Are you speaking ill of Lord's Secret from a Girl Who's Seen It All?
Oh my God. Stop. Don't. I'm a solar power stan. Don't tease me.
What did Lala say about the snippet, the literal snippet of the Western Wind, Carly Rae Jepsen's new iconic song Western Wind or something? She goes, it's like they connected the solar power to the windmill grid or something like that. What did she say?
I don't know, but it's like that's not how power works. Or whatever.
Hold on.
It's not. That's not how.
I
like,
gotta see what Lala put.
works.
It was like, she goes, I got it. Solar power if it were plugged into a wind turbine. And I was like,
What
I
does
love
that
this.
mean?
I love this,
mean
Lala.
anything.
Based on a 30-second snippet of a Carly Rae Jepsen song that is deeply vibey.
But like also truly though, between Western wind and solar power, the girls are interested in new renewable energy and we're here for it.
Oh, wow. This is a very climate conscious episode. I love that for us.
Yes, it is. It is.
This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. Can't imagine it any other way. WhoWeekly.us is a Squarespace. It will always be a Squarespace. We love our Squarespace.
Even if they said no more advertising on this podcast, we would still have it be a Squarespace because honestly, it's just the easiest, sanest way to have a website on the internet at this point.
Yeah. I really can't think of another option.
No, I wouldn't even know how to do another option at this point. It's like it is a perfect way. I know they have all the features I need. If there's a new feature that I need somehow in the future, I know that they're going to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say there's something we need to do on this website that I can't even think of right now. I know that
As
in the future
technology advances,
that they will have our back.
I trust that Squarespace will keep up.
Well, because right now it's like, you know, we have our tour dates that we're able to change on a whim,
Very
which we
easily.
need to. But Squarespace does plenty of other things. They've got, you know, you could do a course, you could host a course, you could do analytics, you could do email campaigns, you can take payments, you can sell stuff. I mean, it's like
sell stuff
we could do whatever we wanted on Squarespace, and I am actually comforted knowing that I could do that in the future.
Yeah.
So head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/who and save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain. That's 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
I slept in a terrible bed at one of our dates this story. I won't reveal where it was because I don't want to be super rude, but the bed was absolutely horrendous. Big dip in the middle. I was
Yeah.
always like rolling into the center. It was so bad. My back hurt so bad when I woke up. And guess what? When I got home, my favorite part of being home was getting in bed.
Yeah,
I
you
was
were like back into
finally,
my mattress.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's a real bed that was chosen for me based on a quiz, the Helix quiz.
Right. And sometimes when people use my mattress, they're like, that's a little soft. And I'm like, yeah, it's made for me, not for you.
For you.
Which actually even drives home the fact that it's so made for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I kind of relish in the I mean, I don't want my friends to be uncomfortable, but I'm like, I kind of am like celebrating the fact that it's like for my body, not for yours.
Mm-hmm. I just sleep so much better on my own mattress than literally any other mattress. And that's because Helix mattresses rock. I wake up, my back doesn't hurt. I wake up, I don't have night sweats. I wake up and I'm thrilled. I wake up and I say, I love you, Helix.
That's
so
incredible.
If you want to experience the joy that I experience every
time
I get in bed,
the
and every time I get out of bed, you should go to helixsleep.com/who because you will get 25% off site-wide plus 2 free dream pillows with any mattress purchase. Plus, get a free bedding bundle, which includes 2 dream pillows, a sheet set, and a mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order at helixsleep.com/who. That's helixsleep.com/who.
Hi, Ricky Bobby. Short time. I'm new. I'm assuming you're going to talk about it, but I have so many questions about the Thandiwe Newton exiting the Magic Mike sequel because it's getting I don't think it's that interesting, but it's getting so much coverage. I just Googled it and there were 12 articles. I just think it's not that unusual, but then Page Six said she had a breakdown, and is she a who? I don't know. That's all. Crunch.
Welcome. I'm new.
Welcome. You're new. We rarely get a newbie calling in. So
welcome.
Proudly. Hi, newbie. So to answer your question, why is this Thandiwe Newton getting so much attention? It's messy, it's sad, and we don't really know the full story yet. But the first answer to your question is because of the he said, she said coming from multiple different camps. So Thandiwe Newton was cast in Magic Mike 3 opposite Channing Tatum.
I think also because Magic Mike 3 is a big movie, not just because of the he said, she said. It's not only that, it's a big movie, and they already started filming the movie. So I think when an actor exits a movie based on that, it can be a little bit like what happened here, as well as obviously the way that she exited was kind of confusing, but also a little bit scandalous in a way.
She exits the movie, and the first Page Six headline is that their sources tell them that she exited the movie because she and Channing Tatum got into a huge blowout fight on set in front of people about the Oscar slap. And they were on opposing sides of the Oscar slap conversation. We don't know what the sides were, just that they were fighting.
And that was swiftly denied by her people. And that's the only kind of statement that they gave on the record, was that specific story wasn't true. But then I think what happened was the real story happened, which was that she's getting a divorce from her husband, director Al Parker. They've been married for 24 years. They have 2 kids. So it's I think maybe they were trying to not have that be out there, but as opposed to a fight with Channing Tatum over the slap, maybe they prefer that over. I don't know. I mean, it just seemed like a little bit of a switch.
Yeah, it very quickly shifted the narrative from this is about Will Smith to no, this is about Thandiwe kind of exclusively. This is just about her. And all of this comes out dumped in the same basically 48 hours, which is they got in a fight. It was about the slap. No, they didn't, but she is actually leaving. And the fight was over personal issues that may stem from the fact that she's been split from Al Parker, whom she's been with for over 2 decades. And she's really upset. And her friends are telling her to go to rehab. She's allegedly saying, I don't need to go to rehab. What do I even need to go to rehab for? Because as we know, rehab could mean anything. Rehab, what does that even mean?
No one's implying drugs. We don't have any information about that. But what I think maybe they were saying was exhaustion, stress.
Or something,
You know, you're working a lot. You're losing a little bit of track of yourself, et cetera, et cetera. So that was maybe the assertion. But her saying, I don't need to go to rehab stuff is all brand new. That's coming out of nowhere to me.
We'll get into the person that she's rumored to be, I don't know, sparking up a new friendship with in a second. But I think the other reason that this was so compelling to people is because we've been in a bit of a Thandiwe-sance in the past couple of years, thanks in part to Westworld. And I think the Westworld conversation was so exciting and inspiring to people because we love when actors of a certain age aka not young Timmy Chalamet's, kind of get what's coming to them and get the attention that they've been overdue for a while. And Thandiwe kind of came back swinging in Westworld and stole all the thunder from all the other hot young stars in that show.
Definitely. I also think that people forget why we're saying Thandiwe instead of Thandiwe Newton, which is the name that she went by for a long time. But she basically reclaimed that name after having it like misspelt originally. She told British Vogue
30 years ago,
that the W was mistakenly left out of the very first screen credit, and she stuck with Tandy ever since. She just kind of went with it. But now she's kind of like, that was a mistake and I want to reclaim it back.
That's always been her name. So this is the most recent headline as of recording. Thandiwe Newton resisting rehab has grown close to musician, sources. And so now not only is she in the middle of a separation from Ol Parker, who Ol Parker also has only risen in his, notoriety since they first met, because he's had a couple of kind of surprising hits in his career. Yeah, he wrote The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. He wrote and directed,
Mamma
I think,
Mia
a really bad
too.
lesbian movie called Imagine Me and You. But Mamma Mia and Mamma Mia 2, Ol Parker joints, Ol Parker is popping up.
Did you see this source where it says they are not believed to have filed for divorce, quote unquote, yet, in parentheses, although one London showbiz source claimed, quote, I know Thandiwe and All have been struggling for a while. All seen is more hanging out with Brits and fellow writers like Richard Curtis. He has a low-key life. The implication that Thandiwe is out and about, that she's kind of more of a celebrity and All is more low-key. Although if you've been together 24 years, I'm sorry, but that dynamic being new or different or stressful seems like it would be something you figured out already.
Yeah,
no?
exactly.
But maybe the Thandiwe Newton, the Thandiwe Renaissance, what'd you call it?
Thandiwe-sans.
Maybe that has put her in a different vibe. Maybe she's vibing.
Well, no, I think so too, because I think that a lot of it, remember Alex at Vulture did that really long interview with her a couple of years ago at this point, like deep in the pre-vaccine pandemic.
Yes. In conversation.
It was a very long in conversation where she was very off the cuff.
It was great.
It just seemed to be coming from a place of I'm reevaluating myself and my career. And I think the name change has a lot to do with that. Like she's shifting the perception of herself and she's trying to repair the way she is perceived by others. So it's not surprising to me that like her relationships would be strained. Also, a lot of her kids are kind of grown at this point. One of them's 21. The youngest one is 8, but like the other one's almost 18. So she has 2 basically adult kids.
The oldest one is developing a TV show written by Ripley Parker called The Fuck It Bucket with Netflix.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, she has kids that are old enough to be developing their own fucking TV shows.
Yes.
In February of this year, Ripley made headlines at 16 when she approached Boris Johnson and said, my name is Ripley and I just want to tell you, you're a cunt.
Good for Ripley.
Yeah,
Good for Ripley.
anyways, I love it. I love their offspring.
So Thandiwe is now allegedly, I don't know, she's struck up a friendship with the singer who goes by Lonr. His name is Lonr. His birth name is Elijah Diaz. His stage name is Lonr with a period, L-O-N-R.
He gave a quote to the Post.
I cannot believe this. The rumor was that Thandiwe and Lonr were seeing each other and becoming friends. So the Post reaches out to him because he's not super famous, but he's released some music. I'll play some of it here. He has a song with her, which is hysterical to me. So this is one of his most notable things, a song Make the Most with literally her.
Ladies and gentlemen, her.
I wanna grow old, wish you make the most, wish you that's the goal.
The Post goes, hey, Lonr, what's the deal with you and Thandiwe? And he goes, quote, from the relatively short time I've been fortunate to spend with her, I know Thandiwe and Oliver, care deeply about the welfare of their children. That's all I care about right now.
Yeah, I can't tell if this is more confirming that there's something going on here or denying. I feel like if you were denying that there was anything going on past just maybe meeting each other once or twice, you wouldn't give a statement. This almost feels like I'm inserting myself into the narrative, like very purposefully, and then we have been hanging out.
She is my friend and I know her well and she has a heart of gold and like I won't even begin to let you disparage her in the press. Like it's coming out of a place of like deep admiration. You can tell.
Really 24 years old?
I think he's 25. But none of the rumors say that they've have used romantic language. Like there's no canoodling
Sure,
language.
but,
There's
like,
no sexy PDA language. It's
they're
just
implying
yeah.
has grown close to. I don't know. Maybe also I also feel weird about this because it also feels like maybe his people are putting out some sort of narrative about her that may or may not be true to make her look bad. Oh, she's out partying with 25-year-olds and I'm just trying to hang out with Richard Curtis, my chap, my mate Richard.
My mate.
Sorry, it took me a while to find that.
Yeah.
Anyways, it feels a little weird.
Mm-hmm. But like the Will Smith stuff was denied and quickly forgotten. A lot like the Will Smith stuff in general, kind of gone. It's like we're not talking about it anymore. The Red Table Talk season 4 or 5 trailer dropped, not a mention of it. You know what I'm surprised by in the Red Table Talk trailer? The amount of screen time given to one Ireland Baldwin. I haven't seen that much of Ireland Baldwin in my entire life, and she's half of that trailer.
She came back. There was a part where they had her, then she left, then she came back. It was like, really?
Because she's with Kim, her mom, basing her. Then she's one-on-one with Willow.
I understand. Willow and Ireland have a lot in common. I think it is like an interesting conversation worth setting up that like the producers of that show know that they're going to get some good stuff. Like if they have these two children of huge celebrities.
And you know what we're going to get?
Yeah.
We're going to get conversation about the voicemail that Alec left Ireland many years ago.
Oh my God. What is it? Like you're a pig?
Fat pig. You're a fat pig or something.
God.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
We're going to get, how do you feel about him having 1 million kids? We're going to get it all.
Exactly.
I think it's also a lot of this was probably shot before the slap. There's no way they would have a full slate of episodes like ready to go with a trailer now if they were filming it after. Like I know they could have added something on or filmed a segment, but it's been, when was the slap? A few weeks ago. Clearly these episodes have been in the can.
4 weeks ago. Wow. Yeah.
Anyways, we'll see.
Anyways, next call. Speaking of the slap, just kidding.
I just saw on Twitter that Miranda Cosgrove interview where she's like, I care sometimes also includes a story about her stalker dying at her house. I feel like that's the lead that got buried, right? Did we talk about that? Crunch.
We didn't know about this, or at least I didn't know.
So the clip where she's like, what's your favorite swear word? Probably fuck. And then
Probably
it's like,
fuck.
And then TikTok turned into like a beautiful song.
Probably fuck.
So from that interview, there's a dark tale.
Exactly. Earlier this week, at least to me, a TikTok, this is always how it happens, a TikTok goes viral on that platform, then appears on my Twitter feed. And it is from a TikTok user, Melina Magosha. And it's just like a TikToker who plays the probably fuck part. And then it cuts to her front facing. And it's a very recognizable TikTok format where you play the clip, smash cut to you being like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about this part of this 2-year-old interview with Whitney Cummings, Miranda Cosgrove on Whitney Cummings' podcast from 2020? Why are we talking about this and not the stuff that she says before this, which is a man went into Miranda Cosgrove's backyard while she was gone on a bad date. The story is longer. She's on a bad date at the ArcLight with a man who's wearing zebra pants, and she's making fun of him. And while this is all happening, a man goes into her backyard, I guess waits for her. But even as she says in this interview, they don't know if he had been waiting for her for a long time, if he just picked her randomly, if this was a stalking thing. They don't know.
But yeah, he was just like pacing in my backyard, I guess. And because I have like security cameras. So later when we looked, we figured out he was back there for like 6 hours or something, like waiting. And then somebody drove up that had a similar car, like that kind of looked like my car. And I guess he got confused and he thought that maybe it was me driving up. It's just like bad luck. And he like shot at this person like 6 times and he missed because she was in a car. She drove away. And then he set himself on fire and he shot himself simultaneously. And then later, so I got a call at like 3 or 4 in the morning. This happened probably at like 1 in the morning. I got a call at like 3 or 4 in the morning saying like, where are you? Like, can you come like to your house? Because someone like killed themselves there.
Well, you know what? She was going to see Pitch Perfect 3, and she told this story in a different podcast as well, the Brett Goldstein's podcast, and she said Pitch Perfect 3 might have saved my life. She's at least trying to be funny about this because it's so disturbing.
It's horrifying.
Like, yeah. I can tell you why this part of the story didn't go viral. It's not fun.
It's not fun. You know, you need a probably fuck, or you need someone smashing their head on the railing of their bed going, ah!
I have to say, it's not that note. It's not that.
It's more that.
It's more that. I have to say, though, like, Out of all bad date excuses, this is one of the best. I looked up the TMZ report of this. iCarly star Miranda Cosgrove, man found dead near Hollywood Hills home. This was December 17th, 2016. Wow, this was a while ago. Anyways, they explain what happened, but then at the end it just says, and get this, Charlie Hunnam happened to stroll by the crime scene as everything was going down. Talk about a celeb-stacked neighborhood. And then it's just a picture of Charlie Hunnam looking over his shoulder, and it says, Charlie near the scene.
Charlie near the scene.
Charlie near the scene.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I just thought that. Charlie near the scene. Charlie was just walking by.
I can't believe that she is as, I don't know, who can say anything about a person's interior life, but like for her to come across as well adjusted as she is and to have a successful show on Paramount Plus after going through all of this is beyond my comprehension.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess I stand Miranda Cosgrove now.
Yeah, I mean, she can say fuck all she wants.
Probably fuck.
Hi, Who Weekly. So if Gerard Butler went to night 3 of Coachella, is there any chance that Gerard Butler knows who Kim Petras is? Crunch, crunch.
Because Gerard Butler was at Coachella on night 3 when Kim Petras performed, does Gerard Butler know who Kim Petras is? 1, 2, 3, no.
No. He should, but he doesn't. I mean, he spent the entire time in a porta potty. How is he supposed to catch Kim Petras' set? Okay, let's move on.
Hi, Lindsay, Bobby. First time, long time. A friend last night went to a Seder and Justin Bartha was there, which spurred a huge debate in my household. Justin Bartha, who or them? I obviously think he's a who. My husband thinks he's a them. Would love you to weigh in. Thanks so much. Lindsay Bobby is my drag name.
The friend who went to the Seder with Justin Bartha thinks that Justin Bartha is a them. But the friend who was told this story is like, are you out of your mind? Justin Bartha is a who. Sorry, just because Justin Bartha came to your Seder doesn't mean he's a them. Just because he's a themiest person at a Seder.
Yes, like if a famous who is at your Seder, you're obviously going to elevate them. You're going to be like, guess who was at my Seder? That's right, Justin Bartha. He dated Ashley Olsen for at least 2 years.
He was in all 3 Hangover movies, but is the least memorable part of all of them.
100% could not have told you that he was in the Hangover movies, but he was. Justin Bartha is such a who. Unbelievable who. Glad to hear he's Jewish, though.
I cannot believe. Who's the most famous person you've ever had like a Seder dinner with?
No, my uncle. What do you want?
Have you ever been at a Seder with a famous person? I'm just saying.
No,
have there ever been
I
any
haven't.
cameos?
No, I haven't. Have you ever been to an Easter dinner with a famous person? No, don't act like you have to think about that.
Let me think. Who's a famous Christian who my parents know? No, none.
Famous Christian.
Although apparently I missed a banger of an Easter dinner, according to my mom, last weekend.
Really? She said a banger.
Apparently it was so good. I heard so many good things about the pasta salad, Lindsay, and you know how much I love a pasta salad.
Oh, she should have sent you some.
Okay, last call.
Hey, Who Weekly. You're maybe getting a lot of calls about this, but I'm wondering if Shania Twain is a who or a them. Specifically, does Gen Z know who Shania Twain is? I wonder if after her performance with Harry Styles that she's going to be a them again, but I feel like she's a who, so I'd like to hear your thoughts. Okay, crunch, crunch.
What do you think? Is Shania Twain a who or a them?
Come on!
1, 2, 3.
She's a them. Get the fuck out of here with that. Oh, because Shania Twain joined Harry Styles on stage or whatever. She's a huge them.
I don't even think, I hate having to speak for Gen Z, but I find it hard to believe that Gen Z wouldn't understand who she was, even if they only knew of one song. I think that level of fame just reverberates, like it just doesn't go away in one generation,
I think for a lot of people, she's like one of the only country stars they know, aside from like Dolly Parton, and maybe Reba, maybe. Like, I still feel like she's a really one of the, if you were to name country stars, she's in the top 10, if not 5 that you're going to name as somebody who's not a country fan or whatever.
And I think the fact that for someone who is, whatever you think of him or his music, clearly quite canny, I don't think Harry Styles would have brought someone that he didn't expect his fans to recognize on stage at Coachella with him. You know, like, I think he was pretty confident that this would be huge for the people who love him and adore him, that Shania Twain would be a big get.
Also, his whole thing is kind of off the beaten path of, you know, and he you know, he stands a strong woman. Like, he
loves a strong older woman.
Yeah, he really does. And like, I don't know, Shania's a great glam person. You know, I don't know. I just think obviously some people don't know who Shania Twain is, but I just feel like overall I would say she was a them.
Mm-hmm. Not to quote Lala again. What did she say?
Lotta Lala.
I love quoting Lala. Just wonderful cultural commentary from Lala. Lala was at Coachella and was live texting us in the middle of the night. Like, I got this text at 4 a.m. my time. So Lala writes, Harry just brought out Shania Twain for Man, I Feel Like a Woman, LOL. Shania maybe didn't realize just how live she would need to sing, but she's having a good time feeling him up. She looks amazing. Shania maybe didn't realize just how live she would need to sing.
Wait, so we saw her live in Vegas. She sounded great. I think she was singing mostly
10 years
live,
ago.
obviously with a little bit of assistance, perhaps.
10 years ago.
but
And
she
Lala was
sounded
brought on
good.
stage. Shania made such an impact on Lala that Shania Twain brought our friend Lala on stage to sing a
That's
rap
true.
at her
Lala
around a campfire.
Lala had a woman on Craigslist or Etsy custom design her one of
Craigslist.
Shania's costumes, and Lala was the only person dressed up, and therefore she had to go on stage.
One of the all-time great shows. I think that might be part of Who Weekly Canon. When you told me to eat a dick, and someone turned around and yelled at you for saying that at a Shania Twain concert. You like
Wait,
it was a joke. You were like,
Obviously.
oh, eat a dick, eat my dick. I think is what you said, and then a very angry Shania Twain fan who definitely wouldn't have known who Harry Styles was turned around and yelled at you.
Wow, that was my eat a dick phase, which was like when I said that. I don't say that anymore. I mean, I might bring it back, but I definitely had a phase when I said that.
And I think with that, we're done. Thank you for listening to the episode of Who's There, our weekly call-in show. Keep calling in at 619-WHO-THEM to leave questions, comments, and concerns. Thank you to Katie and Eric of the Who's for providing our theme song. Thank you to Timmy, our research and editorial assistant, for researching and assisting. I'm so glad you're not going to week 2 of Coachella, Timmy. We needed you so much. We missed your commentary. Support us on patreon.com/whoweekly for bonus episodes and more. Oh, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And with that, we're done. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, happy Earth Day.
Apparently something happened with Joji at Coachella, but I'm just like, who's Joji?
Revolve, Coachella Festival. Maybe I don't want to talk about it, actually. I'm changing my mind. I'm interested, but these people can't. I don't know. All right. Sorry about this call.
Hi. So, hi, Who Weekly. My brother and I are at the 14th Street station right now, in New York, and we're trying to think of the 5 members of Fifth Harmony. We know it's Normani and Camilla and Lauren. Who else?
Hi, Lindsay Bobby. I was hoping that you could rank the New York Magazine verticals from who to them for us, please. Obviously, Vulture is very them-y because Lindsay was there. I feel like Curbed is probably the whoiest, but really want to hear your thoughts. Women Don't Belong in Balloons.
Timmy in Coachella instead of Me and Grace. New sign off. I'm proposing it.
As professional journalists, are you bothered that it's not who's dated whom? Crunch, crunch.